Picture this. You're in a high-pressure kitchen. You've just spent the last hour meticulously crafting the absolute perfect sauce. You've chopped, you've reduced, you've whisked until your arm hurts. You're pouring your heart and soul into this delicate, time-consuming masterpiece, right? The one thing that's going to flawlessly tie your entire dish together.
And then you watch it collapse in a matter of seconds. There's no dramatic explosion, no clatter of pots and pans, just one single degree of excess heat. And instantly, your delicate masterpiece breaks apart into this unrecoverable, oily mess. It's totally heartbreaking, isn't it?
Welcome to The Explainer, Beurre Blanc and the Science of Deceptive Simplicity. Today, we're diving straight into that heartbreak, breaking down one of France's most notoriously difficult culinary creations to really understand the chemistry, the history, and the intense technique behind it. Okay, let's jump right in.
Part 1. A fragile masterpiece.
Part 2. A delicious accident.
So, let's travel back to the late 19th century, out near the Loire River in western France. According to local culinary folklore, there was a cook named Clémence Lefebvre who was actually trying to make a traditional béarnaise sauce. But she was in a rush, and she literally just forgot to add the egg yolks to her reduction. What she ended up with was this surprisingly delicious accident. Now, whether that's hard historical fact or just a bit of kitchen myth, it has permanently cemented itself into French culinary history.
Part 3. The Invisible Science.
To really understand the invisible chemistry that makes this sauce so dangerous to attempt, we just have to look at the ingredients. We've got white wine, vinegar, shallots, and cold butter. That's literally it. It's a shockingly brief list of just 4 things. Now, hearing that, you're probably thinking, well, that sounds incredibly easy. But trust me, that brevity, that is exactly the trap.
Because the real kicker here is what is not on that list. There's no flour, no cream, no starch, 0 egg yolks. You have absolutely none of the normal stabilizing agents that chefs usually rely on to glue a sauce together. So the result is this highly unstable culinary concoction. Without those stabilizers, you are basically walking a tightrope without a safety net.
So why exactly is it so unstable? Well, it all boils down to emulsification. That's a process of forcing water and fat, 2 things that naturally want to repel each other, to seamlessly coexist. As the renowned food scientist Harold McGee points out, in a Beurre Blanc, tiny, microscopic droplets of butter are literally forced into suspension within that watery wine reduction. It's a totally unnatural state, and nature desperately wants to pull it all apart.
And this creates a razor-thin margin of error. If your temperature is absolutely perfect, that suspended emulsion holds together and you get this glossy, silky texture that's just out of this world. But if your pan gets too hot by even just 1 or 2 degrees, the butterfat separates, the water escapes, and you're left staring at an unrecoverable, oily mess. It's literally a 1-degree difference between total failure and silky perfection.
Part 4. Conducting the orchestra.
To pull this off, the execution is incredibly rigid. You've got 4 strict steps. 1. Keep your butter very cold. 2. Add it slowly, piece by piece. 3. Whisk constantly. And 4. Monitor your heat obsessively. The really crucial thing here is that exceptionally cold butter. You're slowly introducing fat, sure, but you are also using the physical coldness of the butter itself to actively bring down the temperature of the hot pan, constantly keeping it in the safe zone.
I just absolutely love this concept because it nails the technique perfectly. Every cube of butter is both an ingredient and a temperature control device. Just think about that for a second. It's doing double duty. This dual-purpose action is exactly what gives that super fragile emulsion the time it needs to form gradually. If you toss in warm butter, or if you rush and add it too quickly, bam, the whole structure collapses instantly.
What this demands from the chef is an intense balancing act of 4 key elements: heat, movement, timing, and texture. Classical French chefs literally compare managing these 4 things to conducting a massive, complex musical orchestra. I mean, too much whisking? That's a problem. Too little whisking? Also a problem. Too much heat? It's destroyed. Too little heat? It never even forms in the first place. You're just constantly adjusting, kind of feeling the sauce as much as you are cooking it.
Part 5. The Ultimate Culinary Test.
Now, if you manage to pass this test, the reward is pretty extraordinary. A perfect Beurre Blanc has this incredibly silky texture, a gentle acidity that perfectly cuts through the richness, and this elegant, deep butter flavor. It is tailor-made to enhance delicate seafood, things like fish and shellfish, without ever overpowering them. It's really the ultimate supporting actor on a plate, bringing everything together in perfect harmony.
But actually getting there, it is absolutely terrifying for culinary students. Why? because with Beurre Blanc, there is nowhere to hide. Think about it. If you mess up a beef stew, maybe you can add some broth to fix it. If a soup is off, you adjust the seasoning. But a broken emulsion, that is an immediately obvious, undeniable physical failure. It literally separates right in front of your eyes. It either works flawlessly or it doesn't work at all.
And that perfectly encapsulates the profound irony of French cuisine. The fewer the ingredients, the more visible every single mistake becomes. We so often assume that culinary difficulty comes from these massive, complex ingredient lists or recipes that take 3 days to make. But the real difficulty? It often lies in minimalist perfection. When you only have 4 ingredients, your technique is completely undeniably exposed.
Which leaves us with this final kind of provocative question to ponder today. Are the most difficult dishes simply the ones balanced on the edge of failure? Beurre Blanc lives entirely on that edge with every single flick of the whisk. So the next time you see a seemingly simple, elegant sauce on a plate, I want you to remember the invisible science, the absolute precision, and the sheer tension it took to keep it all together. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the fascinating structures hidden right there in our everyday lives.